Welcome to Crimes Beyond Borders, where we'll bring you the most thrilling true crime stories every single day. If you're fascinated by mystery, intrigue, and the darker side of human nature, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join us as we unravel the most shocking and perplexing criminal cases from around the world. The story is about to begin after this intro.
From city streets to far-off lands, mystery slipping through our hands. Crimes beyond borders they speak, voices strong but words are meek. Every story leaves a mark, whispers softly in the dark.
Our stories at first are made for ourselves, to comfort us, to help us sleep, and to learn. Along the way, they become a part of our journey, teaching us English and fueling our passion for true crime. So, listen carefully, and if you're about to sleep, close your eyes. Let's begin.
They say the worst kind of monster is the one you never see coming. I suppose that makes me the worst kind. Not because I hide in the shadows or wear some mask to blend in, but because I'm just like you. I move through the world with purpose. I have a job, a family, friends. I smile when I'm supposed to smile, nod when I'm supposed to nod. No one knows what I've done, and no one ever will. I've learned to perfect the art of invisibility, and in doing so, I've become untouchable. Looking back, I can't say for certain when it all started, when I became who I am. People always want to point to something, a traumatic childhood, a broken home, some moment where it all went wrong. But there was no single event that twisted me into this. I grew up in a normal family, middle class, with parents who loved me and a sister who still sends me Christmas cards. I did well in school, had a few girlfriends, went to college, got a decent job. On the surface, it all looks normal, but deep down there's always been something else. A hunger, a need for control. It's hard to explain to someone who hasn't felt it, this quiet, constant pull towards something darker. Most people have urges they suppress, anger, lust, greed. They push it down, ignore it, pretend it isn't there. But some of us were different. We learned to feed those urges, to indulge in them, while keeping the mask of normalcy firmly in place. I didn't start small. I know a lot of people who walk this path begin with animals or petty crimes, testing the waters. But I'm not like them. I never needed practice. My first kill was a man, and I remember it as clearly as I remember yesterday. It was late summer, humid, the air thick with that restless energy before a storm. I had no plan, no victim in mind, just the nagging itch that had been growing for months. It wasn't something I could ignore anymore. He was a nobody, a drifter passing through town. No family, no friends, no one to miss him. The perfect victim, really. I found him in an alley behind a bar, slumped against a wall with a bottle in his hand. He didn't even look up when I approached, just stared at the ground like the world had already given up on him. Maybe it had. I used my hands. There's something about it, the intimacy of it, the finality. I didn't need a weapon. I needed to feel the life drain from him, to know that I held his existence in my hands. It wasn't about rage or revenge, it was about control, pure and simple. And when he was gone, when his body slumped lifeless to the ground, I felt nothing but calm. No panic, no guilt, just quiet. That's when I knew this was who I was, and no one would ever know. People think it's hard to kill and get away with it. They watch the news, see the footage of killers being dragged away in handcuffs, and they assume it's impossible to stay free. But that's because those people make mistakes. They leave clues, DNA, they don't think things through. The truth is, it's easy to kill and never get caught. You just have to be smarter than them. After that first kill, I waited. Patience is key. You can't get greedy, can't let the high make you sloppy. The urge returned, of course, it always does, but I learned to control it. The world went on as if nothing had happened. People still went to work, still laughed at stupid jokes, still complained about the weather. No one noticed the man was gone. He was just a blip on society's radar, a nobody whose absence was as insignificant as his presence. A year later, I met Lisa. Lisa was different. I wasn't looking for her, but when I saw her, I knew. She had that spark, that vibrancy about her that made me want to snuff it out. She was alive in a way that most people aren't, and that's what drew me to her. She worked as a school teacher, lived alone in a small house on the outskirts of town. No close family, no boyfriend. Perfect. I watched her for weeks, learning her routines. She woke up at 6 every morning, drove to the school, spent her evenings grading papers or reading by her window. Sometimes, she'd have a glass of wine and sit on her porch watching the sun go down. I was never far, always keeping my distance, invisible in plain sight. I learned everything about her, from the way she brushed her hair to the route she took home from the grocery store. It wasn't obsession. Obsession implies emotion, and there was none of that. It was calculation, pure and simple. I knew that one day she would be mine. It happened on a rainy night, one of those nights when the world feels softer, the edges blurred by the downpour. I had already broken into her house a week earlier, testing the lock, making sure I could slip in and out unnoticed. That night, I knew she would be asleep by 10. She always was. The sound of the rain muffled my footsteps as I made my way inside. It was dark, the kind of thick, quiet darkness that wraps around you like a blanket. I could hear her breathing, slow and steady, from her bedroom. She didn't even stir when I entered the room. She had no reason to. She didn't know I was there, didn't know that her life was about to end. I stood over her for a moment, watching. It wasn't about pleasure or satisfaction. It was about power. Knowing that I could take her life and there was nothing she could do to stop me. Her vulnerability, her helplessness. It was intoxicating. When I finally moved, it was swift, efficient. My hands closed around her throat, and for a brief moment, her eyes flew open in terror. She tried to scream, to fight, but I had already won. I could feel her life slipping away, the frantic beating of her heart slowing, the desperate gasps turning into nothing. And then she was gone. I stayed for a while in the silence that followed. It's strange, the way the world feels after a kill, almost peaceful, like everything is in its right place. I looked at her one last time, her eyes wide and empty, before I left. There was no need for a dramatic escape. I had been careful, meticulous. There would be no evidence, no trace that I had ever been there. The perfect crime. They found her body a few days later, when she didn't show up for work. The police came, took their photos, made their notes, but they found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, no DNA. Just a dead woman in her bed. The case went cold within weeks. Another unsolved murder, another statistic. And me, I walked away without a scratch. No one ever suspected. How could they? I'm just like you. I go to work, I pay my taxes, I say hello to my neighbors, I blend in. I'm invisible. Since then, there have been others, not many. I'm careful, methodical. I choose my victims with precision. I don't get greedy. That's how you get caught, by letting the thrill of it consume you. But I'm not like the others. I'm patient. I know when to strike and when to wait. You might wonder if I ever feel guilt, if the faces of my victims haunt me in the night. The answer is no. I sleep soundly, knowing that I'm in control. It's not about rage or revenge or even the act of killing itself. It's about power, the ultimate power, the power to decide who lives and who dies. And the world just keeps spinning, oblivious to the fact that I'm out here, among them. They say everyone gets caught eventually, but I don't believe that. I'm smarter than the rest. I know how to disappear, how to leave no trace, how to keep the mask of normalcy firmly in place. I'm the one you'll never find because I'm the one you never even noticed. I'm the shadow in the corner of your eye, the stranger who walks past you on the street. You don't know me, but I know you. I know how easy it would be to take everything from you and slip away without a trace. You'll never see me coming, you'll never suspect, because I'm just like you, but I'm not, and that's why I'll never get caught.
The story has come to an end, but stay relaxed. If you feel yourself drifting off to sleep, just let the video play and enjoy the soothing music in the background. Let it guide you gently into rest. We'll be here, bringing you more stories every night. Sleep well, and see you tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Flickering lamps dimly glow, secrets hidden where few will go. In the half-light, truth begins to show. Unseen forces pull and tow. Windows shut, curtains drawn tight. Lonely figures melt in the night. of sight. Moonlight bathes the world in fright. Ticking clocks, relentless sound. Time slips when danger's around. In the shadows, lost and found. Haunting silence so profound. Flickering lamps dimly glow. Secrets hidden where few will go. In the half-light truth begins to show. Unseen forces pull and tow. Windows shut, curtains drawn tight. Lonely figures melt in the night. Echoes fade out of sight. Moonlight bathes the world in fright. Ticking cloisters on crumbling walls, telling tales of forbidden calls. Into the night, someone falls.